Does it appear that Mike Wolfe has just decided to leave American Pickers for good? Although he claimed that he was only taking a break, it appears that there is more to his stunning decision than meets the eye. Does it have anything to do with money, a hidden scandal, or something much, much more sinister? It is today that we are going to get to the bottom of it, and the truth may just alter the way that you view the show for the rest of your life. There is a possibility that Mike Wolfe's desire to take a break from the show is connected to financial concerns. Nearly 40 years ago, he began his career as a professional picker, during which time he traversed the United States of America in search of unique antiques, which he refers to as rusty gold, specifically for the purpose of purchasing them. Wolfe then sells these objects in his two antique archaeology stores, one of which is located in LeClaire, Iowa, and the other of which is located in Nashville, Tennessee. Other items that are related with his antique archaeology brand can also be found in these shopping establishments. On the other hand, the price of an item at his stores could range anywhere from $18 to $900, depending on what the customer is interested in purchasing. There are some reviewers who have expressed their disapproval of Wolfe's stores due to what they consider to be excessively expensive costs. They have questioned the rationale behind the outrageously high price tag of an item such as a vintage cat food sign. The business is claimed to feature goods that are truly one of a kind, according to other reviewers. There are not many options available. Even these reviews express their dissatisfaction with the costs. Nevertheless, in spite of these concerns and criticisms, both of his stores are doing exceptionally well on their own. As of the year 2023, it was stated that one of them had gross annual sales of $903,000. Because the store is able to make timely payments on its debt, the company valuation assessment from Experian has determined that the stores have a credit score that is considered to be low risk. Additionally, Mike has gained a great deal of success with his show, American Pickers, in addition to the revenues he has earned from his stores. But were you aware that the sitcom came dangerously close to demise? It wasn't until much later that Mike started out as a picker. Despite the fact that he had displayed an insatiable curiosity about it ever since he was 4 years old. Mike is the second of 3 children that were brought up by their mother, who was raising them all by herself. He was born in Jolie, Illinois. As Mike was growing up, one of the things he did to keep himself occupied was to retrieve old bicycles from the trash of his neighbor and then repair them. Mike, however, chose to pursue a different path rather than one that would have allowed him to become a professional picker. The idea of a career in bicycle racing appealed to him, and he eventually became a competitive cyclist. Additionally, Mike was a huge fan of bicycles. Due to the fact that he has the mindset of a businessman, he made the decision to transform his love into a business, and by opening 2 bike stores. However, there was something that was lacking, and Mike soon figured out what it was. The excitement that followed the selection process, as well as the adventure that accompanied it. Subsequently, he came to the conclusion that he desired the exciting lifestyle of a picker. He started picking, and he was making considerable headway at it. Each year, he traveled approximately 60,000 miles in his cargo van across the country in search of rare vintage items. He discovered that this activity brought him a sense of fulfillment. After doing this for a few years, he suddenly had an idea as he was doing it. The choosing that Mike did presented him with a business opportunity that had the potential to earn him additional money and recognition. He entertained the idea of conceiving of a program that would center on his discoveries and was confident that it would be a significant success. Inspired, Mike started going to many studios with his ideas, but all rejected him. Despite this, he did not give up and continued to pursue his ideas. Despite this, he continued to select and present his views. It was his idea that he presented to the History Channel, and rather than rejecting it, they agreed to produce it. They recognized the show's potential, and in 2010, the first episode was broadcast on television. When it came to performance, the episode surpassed all expectations. In addition to garnering more than 3.1 million followers, it was the first episode to achieve the greatest ratings between the years 2007 and 2010. This was only the beginning of things. Around 5.4 million viewers between the ages of 25 and 24 turned in each week to see him and his reliable partner, and by the time the first season came to a close, that number had increased to approximately 5.4 million. Frank Fritz, who is overweight and has a beard, and Danielle Colby, who is a close friend of his, attended an antique shop owned by Mike called Antique Archaeology. Colby had been Mike's close friend for 10 years prior to the time when Mike ever conceived of the idea for the show being produced. It was essential for her to be a part of the show because of the chemistry that existed between the three of them. Due to the enormous number of viewers, this show was the top-rated new nonfiction program on cable television in the year 2010. Mike made the decision to leave the life of anonymity that he had grown accustomed to over the years and became the most recent television celebrity in the United States. There was a consistent audience for the broadcast, and they continued to watch each episode of the show. Mike was able to maintain a constant income of $500,000 per season and approximately $25,000 per episode because to that viewership. Considering that there are presently 26 seasons and 389 episodes, that is a significant amount of money. Just try to fathom the amount of money that Mike has amassed throughout the course of his career. Mike used this money to make investments in his stores, which we discussed on the previous page. In addition, he purchased 13 buildings and established various new businesses, such as restorations, in which he gives out dated fixtures and vintage lighting parts, a new lease of life by forging them into useful and one-of-a-kind furniture that can be used in commercial or residential settings. Additionally, he is the author of publications such as American Picker's Guide to Picking, which was released in 2011, and Kid Pickers, which was published by Macmillan in 2013. Mike's fortune has been reduced by approximately $6 million, despite the fact that all of these have resulted in financial gain for him. But how did this come about? As a result of this, is Mike going to take a vacation from the show? There is more to Mike than just the money. In addition, Mike is the founder of Kid Pickers, an online community that provides children between the ages of 7 and 13 with a platform in which they may share their own selections. Kid Pickers also typically organizes charitable events and promotes fundraising efforts for organizations such as St. Jude Children's Hospital, Operation Smile, the American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, and animal shelters. One person believes that Mike is a liar, despite the fact that many people consider him to be an excellent man who puts the needs of others above his own. As endearing as McKay actually is, every one of his romantic partnerships has not been successful. Jody, his wife, gave birth to their daughter Charlie a year after they tied the knot on September 7, 2012. He married Jody on that same day. However, in June of 2020, the pair ultimately decided to divorce after being married for 8 years. The divorce petition was submitted by her in 2021, and as part of the settlement, Mike was ordered to pay her more than $6 million at the time. Nevertheless, despite the fact that this sad event has occurred for Mike, it is not the reason he is taking a break, and the tumultuous relationship that he and his wife have been experiencing will not be the last of its sort. It is possible that Mike is taking a vacation from the show because he is about to have another major disagreement with someone. Mike has been a part of this show for around 26 seasons, which spans over 15 years in total. In the years leading up to the year 2020, he hosted the show alongside Frank Fritz, who also served as one of his co-stars. They traveled across the United States of America in either their Ford Transit or their Mercedes-Benz Sprinter van. Because of their dynamic nature and diverse interests, the show remained interesting. Antique motorbikes, air-cooled Volkswagens, vintage bicycles, and penny farthings are some of Mike's favorite things to collect. The opposite of this is Fritz, who cherished vintage toys, oil cans, vintage Hondas, and peanut-related artifacts, among other things. It was from people's homes, barns, sheds, outbuildings, garages, and other areas where they had previously stored antiques and collections that the two individuals were able to get the antiques that they required. In addition to hoarders, they pay a visit to those who have inherited a significant collection of artifacts that they are unsure what to do with. They also visit collectors who are serious or amateur collectors. The two of them each have their own strategy for making a profit off of what they discovered. Whereas Mike was selling the items that they discovered in his shop, Frank was selling the same things on his internet and in his own store. Savannah, Illinois is the location of Frank Fritz finds. Those two actions were successful. They each had a charm about them, and Frank was aware of the fact that Mike would always be the most prominent figure among them, despite the fact that he was the one who was responsible for the really laborious tasks. Mike would not think twice about bending down and carrying whatever they discovered if they did find it. Sadly, the spark that existed between the two of them has been lost forever. Mr. Frank passed away on October 1, 2024. When Frank experienced a stroke in July of 2022, he was admitted to the hospital for a period of time. At the time of Frank's stroke, Mike requested his fans to pray for his recovery and stated that he was also praying for Frank's recovery after the stroke. In a tragic turn of events, Frank passed away 2 years after the stroke he had suffered from what the medical professionals referred to as the long-term repercussions of the stroke. Mike composed a heartfelt eulogy for Frank, in which he discussed the various experiences that the two of them had shared together throughout their lives. The character that Frank portrays in front of the camera is the same as the one that he portrays off of it, and Mike applauded Frank for being a genuine person. After that, Mike disclosed that he was pleased to have been able to share the spotlight with Frank during the event, and that he would miss Frank going forward. We will come to the reason why not many fans believe that Mike's eulogy was the genuine article in a moment. On the other hand, Mike did not disclose his intention to take a hiatus from the show until 6 months after Frank's passing as a result of her passing. The possibility exists that he did in fact miss Frank. What is the reason behind Mike's decision to replace Frank with his own younger brother Rob Wolfe, assuming this was indeed the case? To add insult to injury, Mike failed to mention the break when Frank passed away. It was not the stroke or death that caused Frank to leave the program, despite the fact that his passing was a tragic event. Frank had been carrying heavy objects on a regular basis, which resulted in terrible back discomfort that he had to cope with for a number of months before he finally decided to undergo surgery. Before undergoing surgery, Frank had already shot a few episodes, and in March of 2020, after the episodes in which he had starred had concluded, Frank was no longer a part of the show. When asked about his absence, Mike stated that he was recuperating from surgery at the time. When Frank was missing for a longer period of time than they had anticipated, viewers started to worry where Frank was and when he would return to the show. On the other hand, they did not receive a definitive response until the year 2021, when Mike verified that Frank had quit the show. But Frank's account of what happened was not the same as everyone else's. Suddenly, he revealed the surprising information that he had not actually left the program, but rather had been forced out of it. After that, as if this information wasn't surprising enough, Frank disclosed that Mike was involved in the process of him being kicked off the show. Why did this happen in the first place? How could Mike possibly ensure that Frank did not receive a call from the network? Even for a period of 2 years, Frank said that he did not communicate with Mike. Even after he had an operation, Mike did not even bother to check on him to see how he was doing. Despite the fact that Frank could not provide any specifics, he did make it clear that Mike was not pleased with Frank's increasing popularity for the show. Despite the fact that the show put Mike in the spotlight, he stated that it appeared as though Mike had an issue with him, and that when Frank lost weight, it appeared as though Frank was attempting to take Mike's position as the most popular person on the show. Is it possible that Mike is truly concerned that Frank may remove him from his position, or is there anything else going on? In a revelation, Frank disclosed that the performance was not as it appeared to be, and that there were significant tensions present. In 2021, Mike was asked if what Frank had stated was real. He instantly answered by saying that he is a private person about his friendship with Frank, and that he is not interested in setting the record straight, but is praying for Frank's recovery. Mike's reaction did not address the issue, and fans continued to have the impression that he had fired Frank from the show. Nonetheless, this did not have an impact on the ratings of the show. Fans continued to express their devotion to the show, despite the fact that the dynamic had shifted. From this point forward, Danielle Colby, Rob, and John Sala, an antiques expert from Jersey, take turns traveling with Mike in order to discover new things. There were even occasions when they went on their own travels, while Mike was away on his. An attitude like this was not the kind of thing that a man who wanted attention for himself would allow to exist in his immediate environment. The fans were excited to discover why Mike would find himself in a new location, as well as whether he would be going to an old location or a new one. This new method was novel to the audience, and they continued to enjoy the overall premise of the show. On the other hand, it became very evident in the year 2023 that Mike was missing Frank's presence on the show. Mike paid Frank a visit after he had suffered a stroke and was in the process of recuperating. At the time, Frank had a fresh opportunity to return to the show, however his health would not let him to do so. As a result, fans were deprived of the chance to see Frank and Mike together on screen for the rest of their lives. Therefore, if Mike is not taking a break because Frank has passed away, what is the true reason that he wants to take a break? It's possible that Mike is ready to take the time to get ready for his upcoming wedding, and he wants to take advantage of this opportunity. Following the conclusion of his marriage to his ex-wife Jody in the year 2020 and the subsequent divorce from her in the year 2021, Mike moved on with his life and made his relationship with Letitia Cline public in the month of August after 2021. In spite of the fact that they have been going strong ever since, their relationship is not exactly as conventional as it sounds. They are not residing in the same house together. As a result of the fact that both of them are quite busy, Letitia has disclosed that she too required additional space. There are currently no plans for the pair to even consider living together at this time. On the other hand, they are only 2 hours away from one another. Mike resides in Lippers Fork, Tennessee, while Letitia resides in Cave City, Kentucky, where she owns and operates a prosperous cafe business known as Ace Coffee. Together they have 2 children. Even though they are separated by a great distance, the two are constantly together and participate in activities together. A number of tourism-related activities have been carried out in various regions of the country. Additionally, they have collaborated on an advertisement for Harley-Davidson, despite the fact that Letitia has not been in any of the episodes of American Pickers. It would appear that they do not do everything together after all. Nevertheless, there is one more element that they share in common. They are not yet interested in getting married. Both of them responded unequivocally to the question of whether or not they were going to be engaged while they were walking the red carpet at the opening of their new movie Day of Reckoning. They stated unequivocally that they would not be getting engaged in the near future. They assert that they are enjoying themselves in their current long-distance relationship and that they are having a good time there. Are they going to end up changing their views in the near future? Perhaps, but it's also possible that it won't. Watching it unfold will be fascinating. What is Mike's reason for taking a break from the show that he has been present on for the past 15 years, if it is not because he is getting married or because he is engaged? Following the success that Mike has achieved with American Pickers, he has gone on to achieve even greater success with other endeavors. His forthcoming new show, History's Greatest Picks with Mike Wolfe, is one of the things that he is looking forward to. In the present moment, the History Channel has given its approval for this show to be renewed for another season. The show will center on Mike as he searches for fabled artifacts, valuable artifacts and relics from the past that convey the stories of their own eras. Mike is going to take on the role of the guide who will assist the audience in discovering strange artifacts, rare collectibles, as well as the mysteries and importance of elusive discovery. By essentially bringing history to life, Mike will be doing just that. Similar to American Pickers but with a far larger scope, this show is a lot more entertaining. There's a possibility that Mike will be overseas. About the show, there are still very little details available. We do know, however, that Mike is looking forward to it and that he sees it as an opportunity to try something new. This is precisely the reason why Mike is taking a vacation from American Pickers. After watching American Pickers for 15 years and working as a professional picker for more than 30 years, Mike is interested in trying something new. The desire for this transformation was sparked when filmmaker Sean Silva, a close friend of his who was aware of his passion for motorbikes, requested him to play a part in the movie Day of Reckoning, which included Mike riding a motorcycle. This sparked the desire for this shift. First of all, Mike did not want to take part in any acting roles, and rather to remain in his role as the primary character on American Pickers. Even though he did not have a lot of lines to speak, he was filled with uncertainty about whether or not he would be able to successfully play the character. It would seem that Mike's years of experience in front of the camera, his willingness to explore new terrains, and his search for fresh picks would have adequately prepared him for this challenge. But Mike had his concerns. But he made the decision to go ahead and do it anyhow, and he was correct. Despite the fact that the job was different from what Mike was used to, he found it fascinating since he got to act with Billy Zane. Mike claimed that Billy Zane taught him acting lessons on how he could perform his part effectively. Believed that Mike has the potential to be an outstanding actor, were he going to be cast in even more speaking roles. Mike fell in love with the lively energy that his friend Sean displayed, and as a result of what he witnessed, Mike is now open to experiencing other options in the Hollywood industry. As long as it is something that has not been done before, Mike is willing to try anything, even though he is not restricting himself to simply Hollywood. Currently,